and that's why we're going to bank to cap. Roughly $500,000 for Class 3 security officers, another $200,000 plus for some of the infrastructure things that I mentioned earlier, which we can certainly talk more about. State aid did increase, I guess significantly, but if you look at the chart, according to the state's own definition, we're still $1.2 million underfunded, according to the state's definition. So while we appreciate the increase, we would appreciate some more. Maintenance improvements, you can see right in the middle there, about close to $500,000 for maintenance in our elementary schools, and you can see Frelinghuysen in the high school. And these are the different types of things we're talking about. Refinishing gym floors, replacing doors, bathroom upgrades, electrical upgrades, etc. throughout the district. There are capital projects I mentioned earlier. The graphic and photo room, phase 3, right down the hallway here. Roofs, the nurse suite at the high school, and the parking lot finishing, and replacing a couple of boilers in our elementary schools. So some capital projects also. You can see, like most districts, close to 80% is coming from a tax levy, a little over 9% from state and federal aid. You can see some other areas much smaller in terms of revenue. And our expenditures look like most school districts. About 80% of that is going to go into salaries and health care. And then you can see facilities and the breakdown from there. We're pretty proud that our administrative expenses are under the regional limit, and we're proud of being austere in our decision making and trying to be wise along those routes. And I think what we're most proud of, and I can't highlight this enough, is that we're going to be debt free in under 1 year's time. And not many school districts can say that. And I applaud the board for, you don't get there in 1 year, that's decades of wise decision making. And that's really a remarkable place. The amount of flexibility that that gives us as a district is very encouraging. And we don't ever want to be in a position where we have to concern ourselves with a tremendous amount of debt, and there's a problem in the economy, that really limits any type of vision that we might have moving forward. We can be bold and dynamic because we're not in debt, all right? We can really be wise in our decision making. So we're proud of that. And a lot of times, you'll see schools report out their budgets as a certain budget cost per pupil. But what they usually you won't see in the papers is the debt that's added to that. So you can see with the Morris School District, our debt, you can see, adds very little to the actual cost per pupil. But if you look at Morris Hills and Boonton and some of these others, you can see they're carrying quite a bit of debt. And some schools don't have any buses. The tax impact of 2.82% is, for a person in Morristown, about $159 for the year, around $13 a month, and in Morris Township, approximately on the average house, about $100 for the year, about $8 and change per month. So, that's some of the numbers. Let's talk about the value. Let's first talk about some of our elementary schools. So one of the things, what I'm going to just refer to is some data, and I think you always have to be careful about data. It's like I've repeated over and over again, it's never as good as it says you are, and you're never as bad as it says you are too. But we look for patterns, we look for trends. And especially in the Morris School District, you really have to look at the different groups of kids, especially those who are economically disadvantaged and those who are non-economically disadvantaged. You have to kind of split out that data. You can see that for economically disadvantaged, that's a standard, it's a federal standard, family of three, $26,000. Those are the students who are on free lunch versus those who are on reduced lunch. And then non-economically disadvantaged students. That can be a lot of other things. Right? It could be a family of three, $75,000 or $500,000. And one thing I really constantly want to warn everybody when we talk about data is it's so easy to categorize people in one category or another. And there's really so many different types of people. So we, for example, we will see Hispanics in a community. That could be a lot of different things. You know, the Hispanic person could be someone who's been here for 20 years and they're non-economically disadvantaged. It could be someone who's been here for 20 minutes and very much economically disadvantaged. It could be someone who's born in Morristown and has lived here for a number of years. So Hispanic can be a lot of different things. And the same thing is true for white or black. They're economically disadvantaged, non-economically disadvantaged, and we just try to gather as much data as we can to see if we can recognize the patterns. If we look at our economically disadvantaged students in reading and writing, we see in the Morris School District, based on Park, that 20% or so pass Park in reading or writing. The state average for third grade is 31%. It's last year's data. You can see this same group of students in fourth grade rose to 32%, and the state average at 36%. And then this same group of students a year later, in the fifth grade, rose to 50%. In New Jersey, you can see by the fifth grade, they're outperforming the New Jersey average. And we're pretty proud of that. I think that that says something about our system. Math, and so of course you can see that. It's ascending. It's ascending. Math is remarkably similar. So I think there's something to that, where you see the students in the Morris School District who are economically disadvantaged continue to ascend and catch up and surpass the New Jersey averages. And then if you look at data, if you take each subgroup and you combine by fifth grade now, the ELA and math combined average, and compare it to the subgroup average throughout the state, you can see that the Morris School District students in the fifth grade do very well compared to the same subgroup throughout the state of New Jersey. So African Americans are outperforming African Americans in the state of New Jersey by 20 percentage points. Hispanics, 15 percentage points. Whites, 20 percentage points, and so on and so forth. So that, again, says something. And this is just it written out, so when I put this online, it makes more sense. So now we look at non-economically disadvantaged students in the third grade. You can see that it's getting a little bit, it was a nice jump last year. You can see that those students exceeding expectation is also slowly improving. And you can also see that that is what I would call, well, substantively above the state average. The same is true in math in the third grade. You can see improvement of our practices, and improvement of those exceeding expectations. Now, if you compare the third graders who are non-economically disadvantaged compared to the rest of the county, which is always something that people are asking me for, you can see that the Morris School District is in that top third of Morris County, which is great. This is, of course, let's keep in mind, a standardized test for third graders. All right, so it's certainly not everything, but it's something. And you can see the Morris School District in the top third. And 2 years ago, we were right in the middle. So again, you can see progress. So I think this says, again, something. You can also see that we are pretty significantly above our district factor group average. Those are school districts similar to us in socioeconomic status. And in math, we again see remarkably similar results. I think that's number 9 in the top third of Morris County. Again, one of the strongest counties in the nation. That's a good place to be. And that's where you want to be, top third. And by the way, again, you can see the improvement from the couple years before. I think we can make at least an assumption with this group that they're improving faster than other school districts in Morris County. And then, of course, this is one of the reasons Sussex Avenue Elementary School is a National Distinguished Title I school. There are over 20,000 Title I elementary schools in the United States. Sussex was one of 100 that was chosen as a National Distinguished Title I school. It's pretty impressive. So, what does that all mean? Well, I can tell you that if it was the opposite, if the scores were 20% below the state average, if we were descending, I think I know what parents would say. But we see trends certainly moving in a positive direction. I think that says something about our curriculum process, our instructional strategies, our technology platforms, our PD, our assessments. We see things ascending throughout the district in terms of the numbers. It's a good sign that we're aligning things properly and we're providing. Now, That doesn't mean we're perfect, of course not. That would never come out of my mouth, or I think anyone that I know. But it seems to be sending a message that we're doing a lot of the right things. Now, that's a lot of numbers, and I can't emphasize enough that, all of our elementary schools, our kids are coding, our kids are growing plants, they're painting, they're problem solving, they're designing, they're celebrating cultures, they're dressing up like Thomas Jefferson, right? These are happy schools, they're healthy environments, and we value that, as I mentioned earlier, as much as anything else. Frelinghuysen. Well, we really tried to create an environment of reading and writing, a culture of reading and writing. And here's the improvement in 1 year from 2015-16 to 2016-17, grades 6, 7, and 8. You can see the improvement across all of those subgroups. This is the improvement in each one. You can see across the board, very impressive, meeting and exceeding expectations. For those students exceeding expectations, if you look in the 6th grade, look here, there are 38 students in 2016 who exceeded expectations, and 1 year later, 67. 7th grade, 65, and in 2017, 124. And in 8th grade, 31, and it jumped to 83. It's a pretty impressive improvement. Look at that group at 38, 1 year later, 124. Same group of kids. So again, I think it's a fair assumption that we're doing some things well. That's pretty impressive. By the way, our own research shows that students who are getting a 5 on PARCC are exceeding expectations. 3 years later, those are kids averaging over 620 on reading and writing on the SATs. So we're encouraged by this. We have a great exploding STEM program at Frelinghuysen. We have kids winning all sorts of awards. Over 60 girls from Frelinghuysen went up to the high school to experiment with STEM. We have National Society of Black Engineers chapter at Frelinghuysen with over 30 kids, moving to the high school a year later, competing throughout the state. Technology Association just won 1st place in flight and the Tech Bowl. We had 3rd place in prepared speed. A great picture of kids. We have a Model UN program at Frelinghuysen with 50, 60 kids involved, learning how to become globally competent, learning how to become civil and be a proactive force in democracy. Great stuff. We had kids this year, 1st place at Frelinghuysen in the 7th grade, and 1st place in 8th grade in the general knowledge competition held at Newark Academy. And I'll repeat, I really appreciate the competition that the private schools gave us. Frelinghuysen appreciates the competition. Great, tremendous music program, just 1st place at the Teen Arts Festival. Just last week, West Milford Jazz Festival, best improv, outstanding soloist, outstanding trumpet section, outstanding rhythm section, tremendous plays, working to make sure every single student is involved in co-curricular, extracurricular activity, that they belong, dream it, plan it, achieve it. Frelinghuysen, probably, again, just one of the untold stories in Morris County. Morristown High School, well, at the AP level, you can see total number of AP students last year jumped to 349, a 37% increase. Number of exams jumped considerably. Number of students scoring a 3, and passing at roughly in that 80% range. Pretty impressive. Morristown High School was one of, I think, of around 450 schools nationwide who made the AP District Honor Roll. And that's because the access, the open access of students who are taking the AP class. By the way, our Hispanic students, seniors at Morristown High School, 41% of our 12th grade Hispanic students, 41% are in an AP class. And in the state of New Jersey, 41% of all students are in an AP class. So Hispanic students here are achieving at a rate as well as the average New Jersey student. Really great distinction. Tremendous art. If you've seen our plays, I think I have a slide coming up. Just the awards that the kids are winning in music and in our plays and across the board. Our band, by the way, was one of 6 high schools in the state of New Jersey chosen to perform at Rutgers. So what you can certainly make the argument, one of the top 6 bands in the state of New Jersey. Those are high-powered band programs. Tremendous, if you've never been to a play, you've missed out. Tremendous accolades. The kids do an amazing job. We're winning state championships every year in something. And we have student groups that are dynamic and vibrant, and they really are contributing to the overall district. Mellon Mines being one of them. They just had a passport to our world dinner last week. They've been here to our board. They're involved in the curriculum process. They've met with the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and our teachers. The students really here in this school district have a voice that's really guiding us to a future vision. Again, the STEM Academy, I can't talk enough about it, about the opportunities that our kids have, and our arts program that we're so proud of these kids. The kids, by the way, are also part of this Global Navigator. We have close to 30 kids traveling the world this summer. Again, we offer those opportunities to our students. And we're all in here at Morristown High School. Everybody belongs. So I just want to finish all of that. State of the district can't be accomplished by a school itself. It has to be through a partnership with the community. The Morris Educational Foundation provides program after program for our students to help uplift them, to help them ascend. They've certainly been a wonderful partner, and we can't thank them enough. And of course, no school system anywhere gets those types of results without exceptional teachers. It cannot happen. It cannot happen. So we know what we have in our teachers and counselors, their dedication and their passion, and that's what leads to success. We certainly know we're not perfect. We know in our elementary schools, for example, that when those kids are coming in at 70, 80%, meeting or exceeding expectations, we know we can push that. We know that can get up into the 90%. We know that we've been really redesigning our bilingual program, and we need to keep looking at that. We know at Frelinghuysen that we need to keep working, especially nationwide. There's difficulty with economically disadvantaged students in math. We know we can continue to improve and continue also to bring those successes all the way through the high school and beyond. We're going to keep trying. We know we're not perfect, but we're constantly consumed by improvement so that these values can become manifest. So I did that in 47 minutes, 4 minutes longer than last year. Pat's still awake. Right? You fell asleep last year, though, right? But that's a lot, and everybody knows I could go a lot longer, but I'm not going to. But try to paint a picture of a lot of what the vision is, what the operation is, some of the data, and some of the purpose. Thanks very much.
Morristown.